Right, people, I apologize for that. These things happen. Communications are a massive thing these days. And if you don't get it right, it doesn't go the way you want it. I'm just going to wait to see if we can get my father through here. Let's see if we can get this working. Hello?
Hello.
Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you now, yeah.
Brilliant. But we got it done. We got it done eventually. Listen, communications are wonderful, but they're also a pain in the ass half the time. I was going to say something else here, but people may take it differently. I have to watch what I say. But I'm sweating like a
like a pig. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, yeah. But yeah. But got back here. Had to delay it. Apologize, I had to delay it. But what happened was I was trying to break away. I was trying to do a dog leg and head back to Suffolk. And I didn't want to leave my guest at the Tower of London in the mess by himself. I didn't touch a drop, by the way, in there. Didn't touch a drop. But it was interesting because I got to see different boards behind the public thing for the soldiers of who they must carry out a general salute to when these people appear. And there's 22 people in the UK that they must do a present arms to if they appear on site. So, and that was interesting because I didn't think some of them people belonged on that list. But yeah. Have you got a drink or a coffee or anything, or tea?
Well, we just had our tea not long ago. We're trying to get this machine working. So the comms on here aren't very good at all today.
Well, this is sponsored by Burnt Out Rick Cider, Dad.
Yeah. The usual tipple.
I know. I'll change the bits and pieces around later on, but I've had lots of people ask me questions about for you tonight to find out. Can you ask your dad which prison that he thought was, I don't mean the toughest, I don't mean which prison you think was the toughest, but which prison did you find more psychologically challenging going there and coming back every day?
Crumlin Road, I think.
Yeah?
Crumlin Road, you see, you got them in, it was, you got all sorts in there on remand awaiting trial. You had sentenced ones, plus long-term prisoners, short-term prisoners, and the mayor's got the sentenced prisoners, wants to anyone done over 4 years. Hyde Bank Wood, that was a young offender centre. See, in the early days, they used to have things called Borstals, and they closed them down and they opened up the YOC. And if they was too young to go to the YOC, we had them in Belfast Prison in a place called the JIU, the Juvenile Remand Unit. And as I say, when they built the Hyde Bank, all the little chairways would go there, you know. And but the Crumlin Road, it got all categories.
Which place was it my mum used to threaten me to go? Every time I messed up, she'd go, "I'm sending you to the boys' home." Which one was that?
It was a boys' home.
Cladley boy?
No, your mother didn't mean.
I know she did.
That, I mean.
Yeah, I know.
I know. The boys' home, it was, in my day, and when I was a kid, they called them orphanages.
Orphanage, yeah.
An orphanage. In other words, we don't want you anymore. You'll behave yourself.
Oh,
well,
God.
You know, there's so many different categories of places. There's a place called St. Pat's. That's a place that's one below the GIU, I believe, for kids of school age.
Yeah.
But if you're to learn your trade, it's Crumlin Road, without a doubt, because you get to see all sorts. Everything has to go through Crumlin Road. I mean, I remember one day we was all lining up to come home, 5 o'clock finish, and this loudmouth guy that got posted from the Maze prison to work in the Crum, he stood there, and at the same time, a van came in carrying prisoners. and the police took him into the reception, and this guy Charlie says, "Oh, there you go. We get real prisoners in the Maze prison." And somebody says, "But you're in the Crumlin Road now." And somebody else said to him, "You stupid sod. Where do you think your prisoners come from? They've all got to come through here. Think before you speak, you know?"
Idiots, you do get idiots. Was there, I hadn't planned that. Obviously, I've had a long day, and I had things written down, which is clearly it's went tits up. But and don't take that literally, people in the chat when I say that. But whenever you
so you haven't got your list with you.
I know. I've got short-term good memory, long-term shit memory. As you probably know. Is
it going to be interesting then?
No, it's not going to be interesting.
Because you're going to be asking a 73-year-old.
Well, this is great because there's no point here. Listen, don't try and put me down, because in the morning after you watch my live video and then I phone you up, you then give me a back brief on what you heard from me. So don't give me that.
Hi. So I've got to remember what you told me you want to ask me.
Yeah, well,
right.
I know. Right now, there's lots of things which happened in your work in the different prisons and stuff. Were you in the H blocks whenever there was the escape from the maze and things like that?
No. That was a Sunday, I believe. Yeah, I was at home that day, but no, I didn't work in the H blocks. I
know, but you went in sometimes. I'm just trying to get a gauge.
Oh yes, I went into the maze on a few occasions, but I was nothing to do with them escaping.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no, you weren't. I'm just hopefully not. But
no, I don't mean that way. No, I wasn't working in that place whatsoever when they escaped from the maze. No.
Yeah, when I've listened to you and I've listened to a few guys that worked in different prisons, and people always ask me these questions. They ask you, why, in your opinion, why do you think that whenever both sides of the divide, I'll not say Catholic and Protestant because it wasn't Catholic and Protestant, it was Republican and Loyalists that got locked up, which is the hardliners from both sides of the community. Yeah.
Yes.
So whenever they were both in prison, why do you think, because it's quite clear now, that the Republicans have left and have been more successful than the Loyalists?
Oh, that's an easy question to answer, because the Republicans took a massive advantage of the education system. They all went to education block to study Irish history, English, politics, and a lot of them was very successful. Once they all got released on the Good Friday Agreement, a lot of them went into politics and into being councillors and what have you. And the other side didn't bother really. Oh, I'm not going to say they didn't bother. They went. The Loyalists went to education block, but not in the numbers that the Republicans went. They took full advantage of it, did the Republicans.
Wow.
And that's when, well, you're going to look at Stormont now, the amount of MLAs for Sinn Féin that have been in prison and have been elected because they studied politics. I mean, you hear of people going to university and they say, I'm studying politics. You've got to remember, once 5 o'clock came and they went to the association classes, the teachers who came in to teach these people and lecture these people after hours, a lot of them were university people.
Wow.
And, you know, whereas, and they got really clued up on the subjects they wanted to study.
Is that why they've been successful now in Northern Ireland with the politics?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, wow.
It is.
Graham has just said, did they have to slop out?
Yes, they all slopped out in the Crumlin Road.
Right.
In Magabry, they didn't because it was posh. When that was built, they put toilets in the cells.
I remember you many years ago when I was a young lad. I remember you coming home and just sitting having conversations with my mum, and I did listen to some of them. And you used to come home fuming. You used to come home fuming, going, "I can't believe this. I can't believe this. These guys have done atrocities." And in there, they're being handed TVs, they've got phones, they've got PlayStations, they've got every single game there is, they've got every single video and movie ever made. They're treated like kings in jail. And I used to think that was a joke, but it's true though, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, they didn't get phones. They had nothing in the Crumlin Road, nothing. But in Magabry, when there was about a year or so, maybe 2 years before they started these Good Friday Agreement talks, about 2 years, had telephone boxes erected in the in the wings, and it was just outside our office. It wasn't a telephone box that you see on the street. These was wooden telephone boxes designed and made by our trades officers, and the telecom people come and install the phones. And there was no money being used. It was all telephone cards. And you got these cards from the tuck shop. And you had to pay for them, but you paid for them out of the wages you earned in the prison.
So,
or your family left money in for you on a visit so you could buy, transferred into telephone cards.
Credits.
But
someone has asked you a question. Willis Miller has said, do you think that the penal system worked?
Not really. Not really, because I remember they brought in the law where it was an offence not to wear a seatbelt. It had only been in about a month, and myself and my mate, we got a guy coming in with the police, brought him in for not paying a fine for wearing a seatbelt. I mean, when you think of that, I mean, he got 7 days or whatever. It was fined. I don't believe people should go to prison for not wearing a seatbelt. When you think of people that should be in prison, it's nonsense.
It doesn't work.
I mean,
yeah.
And a lot of people forget that there's a lot of civic crown crimes. If you don't pay your maintenance, you get dragged in front of the courts and you get put in prison. And depending on how much it is, let's be silly here. Say you owed £2,000 back maintenance to your wife. You got 6 months for not paying your maintenance. But once you're released from prison, it hasn't gone away. You still owe £2,000. And it can all happen again when you owe the crown debts. You know,
it's all changed
go
now,
away.
Though. Sylvia Spackman has asked, well, and that she's actually quoted something which is true. What do you think the fact that prisoners are now up in arms and want the pay raise?
Oh, aye. Well, I don't know what work when I was in the system. They went to work. I mean, the guys that worked in the cookhouse started at 7 o'clock in the morning, had their dinner across there, and they came back at 5 o'clock. And I was, as a class officer, I used to have to make up the wage on a Sunday. And some of the guys that worked in a prison kitchen, I mean, don't forget, I'm talking now, the late 90s here, and some of them guys are on £16 a week, you know, and it just goes. They don't get it in hand. It goes on into the tuck shop, you know, and it's all there. They can save it up. Some of them saved it up and had money sent down to the front gate in an envelope by the office staff for the wives or the girlfriends to pick up. or they spent a lot of money in the tuck shop when it opened up. You know?
There's a lady here called Kay. She's basically said, did you ever see things like gentle skullduggery? Basically, did you ever get to see in your prison, which was replicated on the program Porridge? Was it like that? Did you have prisoners like that?
Yeah, we had one guy, a guy's dead now, a guy called Geordie Brady. He was a funny guy. Every Christmas, he used to hang outside the Crumlin Road, waiting for a policeman to come out, and he'd punch the policeman to be arrested, to go down to North Queen Street, and the next day brought into prison, right, for his Christmas dinner.
Really?
You know? Yes. Geordie, everybody knew Geordie Brady. You know? The first thing they did when he came into prison, he used to get like 28 days or 7 days or a fine or something like that, or be put on remand until his case was heard. But he used to, Christmas time, he was always guaranteed to come in. You know, Geordie Brady, he was harmless. When I say harmless, when he came in, the medics had to come and cut his fingernails because he used to grow his fingernails so much shocking. And you couldn't have that. So they cut his fingernails for him. Give him a set of clothing, a good clean up, you know. But it was,
yeah.
And you did have the odd guy that was like Fletcher or Porridge, wise guys, funny guys, rogues, you know, no malice in them, but there was always scheming, you know. But you got them in the short term wings. You don't get the remand prisoners just got along, you know, best they could. And there was one or two guys that tried to pull fast ones, but you've seen it all before, you know. But the lovable rogues was quite funny, you know.
I've got a guy in the chat called quite strange, but this is not the Robert O'Neill, but there is a Robert O'Neill in the chat who worked 20 years in a Dublin prison. And I've also got Yorkshire Pud, who has said, did your dad ever work in UK prisons? Well, Yorkshire Pud, Northern Ireland is UK prisons.
Yeah. No, I didn't work in the English prison system, no.
He meant the mainland. No, you didn't. So, no. You used to say that you had a lot of people come in, though, to learn how to... A lot of prison officers went to Belfast to learn how to look after dangerous types of prisoners, didn't they?
Sorry, repeat that.
I have been speaking to other prison officers who said there was time, probably during your time, where some prison officers would come across, maybe governors come across from England to see how you run your prisons and try and...
Oh, yes, that's right. Yes, they did. As well as that, when I joined the job, there was prison officers. There was a shortage of prison officers, and an awful lot of prison officers from the English jails came across to help out, and they all wore different styles of uniform and cap badges and all sorts, but there's all from the English jails. I was actually shocked because in the military, you all wear a number 2 dress and they're almost the same. But the English system, they all had different shades of uniform, styles of uniform. It was strange. It was strange thinking they're all in the same job. I know. They came across here and they stayed here until about 1979, when they all went back to their own prisons, and they was all seconded. When by 79, the numbers of the recruiting had kicked in and people were joining it. Usually it was for the money. Money was unbelievable.
Gail Bryan has, I don't know if you'll take this as an insult, but I find it quite funny. She has said that you look like Fletcher.
I look like Fletcher.
From Porridge.
Yeah. Yeah. It's costing me stomach, but I'm on a diet, honestly.
Right. There's a few more come in here. I'm going to ask you. Right. Kathleen Yates has said, Trevor, ask your dad if there was any time that he was afraid for his life, or was that the day today? Or was that the day today? Many thanks. Right. Was there any time during your time where you were afraid of your life? I don't think people probably heard your previous story when someone came to our house, but what do you think? Was there?
I was never frightened for my life. No, not really. I was warned by the authorities that they'd found my name and address in a book, but they found 2 other guys' names and addresses in a book during a search. And
they're dead, though, weren't
one
they?
was shot dead the next day going to work, and one was shot going to work. And I was the 3rd name. It's just something that happens. It's every day. You just look after yourself.
I know.
Threats.
Well,
threats were threats, you know.
That brings me back to one of the questions I wanted to ask you that people aren't aware of. Living in Northern Ireland for a kid, I didn't see any of the bad stuff. Never did. I was kept away. Your mum kept me away from anything anyway. But going into Belfast, I remember playing outside the front of our house in that little green. Remember in Glen Eagles? Remember the green that's in our house, Glen Eagles?
Yes.
Well, I used to play there at William Patterson. We'd play football there every day. And every so often as a young kid, I would see puffs of smoke in the sky, followed by large explosions, bombs going off in Belfast. We could see that growing up, but that's as much as I seen. But I also remember one time I wasn't well. I had problems with my feet. And your mum was over at the time visiting us, remember? And you decided to say, right, I'm going to take him. So you were driving me in the back of your vehicle to hospital, and you drove into a picket, and there was members of the IRA on that picket, and they stopped. Yeah. Tell us what happened. Tell them what happened.
Oh, tell you what happened. You had some skin, something wrong with the skin of your feet, and we took it to the RVH. And as I drove up to the RVH, there's all these bodies all over the road, people all over the road. And I thought, oh God, they're on strike. It's a picket. Oh my God. And I was committed. I couldn't reverse. I couldn't turn around. So I carried on, parked my car up. I looked around, and there was a couple of guys in the IRA that I recognised from jail. And I picked you up in my arms. I was walking to the hospital with you, and this guy says, "Oh, Mr. Coult, you're all right. I know him. Let him through." And I thought, Jesus Christ. It was a guy we had in D-Wing, you know. Remember the IRA? He'd been in the IRA. Can't say he was then. Probably there is a lesson.
I was always stunned, though.
He let us through. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah. I couldn't believe that, though, that Stuart B, I was born in 75, so this was a strike. This would have been a strike in the 1980s, I reckon. I wasn't well. My dad was taking me to the Royal Victoria Hospital, and he was confronted by members of the Irish Republican Army terrorist group. They had been in jail. Don't know if they were then. And they said, let Mr. Coult through, make sure nothing. That's the way it was, apparently. They didn't pick on your family when you were doing something.
Yeah, that's right.
Crazy.
Yeah, it's very strange. I was quite shocked. You know, he was a porter at the time. And actually he was a leader of one of the leaders of the union. So they all did what he said.
I'm going to be honest, going out with you for a walk in Belfast or doing something, it used to baffle. Even in Conswater Shopping Centre many years ago, no matter where we went, Bangor, it could be anywhere, and someone would walk up to you and someone would see you and go, "All right, Mr. Coult," and you'd go, "All right," and you'd walk on, and I'd go to you, "Who's that?" and you'd go, "Pervert, B-wing." You knew them all. It used to make you go, "Holy shit, who is?"
Yeah.
And who's that, Dad? Bomber, Cross McGlen.
But here's one that'll shock everybody. Even the height of the Troubles, there was more perverts than there was terrorists.
Crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy. We had a thing in the A-wing behind a wire. Ooh, most of them people were there for their own protection. You know, kiddie fiddlers.
Yeah, well,
Rapists.
It's crazy. Yeah, it's it's hard.
People don't realise, no matter what's going on in Britain, there's always more people in jail for sex crimes than there is anything else.
Well,
and in England now, there's an awful lot of policemen.
It's weird, isn't it? Because all the terrorists are out in the street. The prisons are full of perverts and police officers. Not all, not all.
Not all policemen, no. But
yeah.
I'm just shocked how certain people in London was able to do that for the amount of time without being caught on. There must have been some people watching their backs for them.
Well, there is.
You know?
Did I tell you that I was different thing? I'll talk about offline. But yeah. But right, I've wanted you to tell me this here and to explain this for years. And it was only during our last chat offline that you said to me, yeah, it's ready. I'm ready to tell it. So I remember you were a little bit annoyed at the time about this, but you just took it in your stride and you ignored it. But tell us about the day that in prison, a prison officer shot himself.
Oh, yeah.
Tell us.
Well, I was working in the tire lodge at the front gate at the time, and it was dinner time, and next to the tire lodge was our armory, and there was a big sandbagged area where you loaded and unloaded your gun. And the side of our wall, so our office, had metal sheets across it. For this reason, all of a sudden, I had these two shots. And I rushed out, and there's a guy called Norman laid on the floor. Well, the alarms went off. The jail was sealed. No one could move. And it was just myself and a guy I worked with and Norman on the floor. And I went down to him and saw what I'd done. And he was wearing this blue, thick rubber motorbike suit. And just below us, a set of stairs, there was a detachment of military, but they had nothing to do with us. And the cook flew up the stairs to see what was going on. And I said, give us a carving knife, hurry up, and a field dressing. So he got me a field dressing and a carving knife. The carving knife was to open his suit where he'd been shot. So I got it opened up and what have you, and I put a field dressing on him. And Jack, this other guy I work with, he looked at me and he goes, oh, I can't have that. I says, blood. And he slammed the door and went back into the room. So I was on my Todd. And I said, throw me a towel. So he threw me a towel. And I got this guy sorted out, right, have you? Then there's guys looking in to see what I'm doing, but couldn't get to me because the control room took over all the locks automatically. So everything was locked. Your keys wouldn't work. So I had to deal with this guy. It seemed an eternity. And he shot himself just to the round, just below his navel and his groin. And that had made a bit of a mess. And the other one was just in his side of his stomach. Anyway, all of a sudden, I had this click, which meant the locks was now unlocked again, and you could use your keys to get in. And this guy came in to give me a hand, right? And the ambulance at the same time was reversing in. The two ambulance guys got out, looked at this guy, did a bit of titivating and said, that's a good job, blah, blah, blah. You probably saved his life. Stuck him in the ambulance and took him away. Then the detectives came from Tennant Street to interview me and this other guy. And that was okay. But months, the guy who was helping me went down to the training school to be an instructor. God knows what he said down there, but I know that a few months went by and these recruits who had been trained by him said one day, he's some pup, isn't he? I says, oh, him there. He was an instructor in Mill. I says, oh, was he? He was telling me about the time that he got cigarettes and broke the filter off and stuck them in the bullet holes. And I says, really? You know, but what I don't care about all that fancy talk. But what I did annoy me, we got took in front of the governor and given a pat on the back. But what did annoy me a little bit, when the guy came back to work about a year later, he never came and said, everybody said if it weren't for Trevor Coult over there, you'd be dead. But not once did he ever come and say, thank you, have a pint, here's a cup of tea on me, I'll buy you that sandwich, you know, or kiss me ass or nothing. I thought, well, sod you, but you're alive. Ungrateful. Well, you see, if it had been me, I'd have been kissing the guy's feet if somebody saved my life like that. Well,
for those that's asking in the comments, my father's from Hull, East Yorkshire. Don't say West Yorkshire. Do you know what gets me though? I see that. I've been privy to that type of crap as well. So basically, you saved the guy's life in prison. The guy came in who didn't do it and got accommodation for it and all the credit, and you just ignored it and cracked on with work. It just goes to show there's a lot of scumbags out there that take the credit for other people's hard work. I get it daily.
Yeah, but the good thing about it though was my boss, my superior, right, saw through this grill what was being done and who by, and he wrote a report afterwards what he'd witnessed. So it didn't really matter what this other guy had said, you know. It's on record. But anyway, but what I had to laugh at was my hand was covered in blood, right? And one of the cooks came up afterwards and said, "Yeah, are you hungry?" I says, "Aye." "Help yourself," and he passed me this big cod, and I'm stood there eating this cod. It was fish and chip day, you see, for the army. And this guy is looking at me and he's going, "For God's sake, wash your hands." A lot of people have very weak stomachs.
I know they do. I know they do. Yes. I used to enjoy going to the Malile, which was the prison service training place, and the functions that you did there were quite good, actually. As a kid, I enjoyed that.
Oh, did them 6-kilometer races and all that? You took place at you took part in a prison officers' kids run or something.
10K, 10 kilometers.
10K. Yeah.
And for those watching, I did it. For those watching, I did it in under 34 minutes, which is fantastic.
I should like to think so. After all, you did run for the Harriers.
Well, didn't fly them, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, God. So, people don't... We spoke in the last video that you taught Michael Stone how to throw a grenade using a potato.
Yes.
Did you have any interactions with... Did you have any interactions with the Shankill Butchers?
No, not really. I just... They all kept themselves. They was given this name for what they did. They did a lot of bad stuff. But you know something? They never give anybody any bother whatsoever in prison. And I don't think this might sound daft, because the victims' families might. be a bit annoyed about this, but they didn't do anybody in prison any harm. Or are you talking about Bates,
Yes.
who's dead now,
Yes.
and the guy that got friendly with him? Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I'm just asking that open question. It's up to you how you answer it, really, isn't it?
Oh well, I'll tell you. Yeah, Bates, he was saving life, and this other fella on this other side of the land, and he got very friendly with him, and they was always together. And every time you saw Bates walking around the yard in McGabry, this guy was 2 steps behind him, or he was sat next to him having his meals, or they was playing pool together, and there was nothing going on at all. And the day came when Bates, who actually himself and Moore had been given natural life, right? But prior to the Good Friday Agreement, not part of the Good Friday Agreement, prior to it all coming, Bates got released from prison. And that was okay. Nothing special about that. But a couple of months later, this other guy that was serving what we call a year man, he was serving in a sentence, he was serving a couple of years. He got out. 2 days later, it's on the news that that Bates is dead. And everybody was talking about it. But you never guess who killed him. Who killed him? You know, your man used to knock around with him all the time. Always with him. So, yeah, him. You're kidding. No.
Crazy world, isn't it?
It was like a plot from Jeffrey Archer book. This guy that was never away from Bates killed him because one of the Shankill Butcher's victims was his uncle, and he got himself put in prison to stalk him. We thought that was unbelievable. We thought it was claptrap, but it was true.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Crazy, all right, but it's true.
I would have struggled to work. I would have struggled to work. No, well, I did struggle to work in an environment. To work in an environment with serious murderers, knowing they had killed my colleagues. You know, it would have been tough to sort of try and. I know you say, yeah, but you're professional, but it would have been a hard pillow to swallow.
Yeah. Yes, it is. When you, for example, over here, they had this. People in England or anywhere else, they wouldn't have heard of this place. It's called Le Mans Restaurant. It's a big flashy hotel up in the Craigantler Hills. Nice place. Sorry, the Castlereagh Hills. And it's a lovely place. Dinner dances there, Christmas doors, wedding functions, all them kind of things. Lovely. And this particular night, there was this party, and the guys responsible for this thought it was the police's Christmas. No, it wasn't the Christmas because it was in February. It was some to do with the police. So they thought what they'd do, they'd hide cans of petrol behind the curtains in this big hall. Gallons and gallons and gallons of fuel. And it was set to go off at a certain time, which it did. Unfortunately, it wasn't the police that were in there. It was the collie. It was a dog breeding something, the collie club or something. And them people was burnt to death. It was terrible. And it's the first time I've ever seen the police have actually had posters put all over the place of what happened to these people. And it's the only time I've seen it. It hasn't been done since, no matter how bad the thing was. And I remember going to our security room and there's a picture on the wall, of this poster on the wall. It said, "Wanted for this." And it showed you this. The best way to describe it was a cinder. a piece of cinder, coal. It was a human being, what was left of them. And they brought this guy in very soon, and he was he was pretty. They patted him on the back, the guys of his sort, you know. But I've never done it since. But Le Mans restaurant explosion, I think it was on Valentine's Day, 1979. I think. Couldn't swear to it. But I mean, these people, they wasn't shot, they wasn't blown up, they was just burnt to death in a massive inferno. You imagine dozens of cans of petrol hidden all around the place and all going off at the same time.
Well, I'm glad I never seen that.
It'd have been like a swimming pool being emptied on you. That much fuel in the place. Unbelievable.
I think
you remember that one.
Someone asked a question. Someone asked a question. What was your? Which one do you pick? Basically, did you prefer? Did you enjoy your military career more than your prison service career, or vice versa? Which one stands out for you, or both?
Well, I enjoyed my military career. It's only short, only 10 years. I enjoyed that because you got to see a lot of places. You wasn't restricted where you can go and where you can't go. You're not restricted here. You can go anywhere you want over here, but you've got to be a bit of a lunatic if you go to all the places over here.
Yeah,
you know where you're welcome and you know where you're not. And I've been living here since '77, you know, so everything's fine. But in the military, I enjoyed it because you went to some different places, different outlook on life. It was with a lot of blokes had the same mindset as you know. But over in Northern Ireland, a lot of prison officers, religion's a big thing over in Northern Ireland, even in the prison service. You know, the amount of people, prison officers now that you work with, that go to Bible classes on a dinner time rather than going to the mess or down to the club for a pint. And it was just having to watch your P's and Q's. I've told a few prison officers off in my time. I've been swearing at a prisoner, you know. Oh, that's terrible talk. You shouldn't be talking to them like that. What? That kind of language. What do you think you are? It's a prison. It's a prison here. Go away, you know.
I know.
But it used to really annoy me the way they don't like swearing. They don't like this. They don't like that. Why are they in the prison service? You know what I mean?
No, the perfect thing that I seen 2 days ago. I might have sent it to you in a private message, but someone had posted, and this is a true quote. Someone had posted, "I am a Black American. Is Northern Ireland racist? Can I go to Northern Ireland as a Black American? Will I be safe?" And the response that person got was, "Are you a Black Catholic or a Black Protestant?" And that's exactly what, you know what I mean? That's what they meant. So it's only racist depending what side you are. You know what I mean? But that's the perfect response. It's a little bit of sarcasm as well. But listen,
see, I don't know how to answer that, because to me, a racist is a person that's against a certain colour.
Yeah.
But what's a bigot?
I suppose a bigot and a racist is probably the same thing, just different wording. I think I don't know, but listen, there's one thing in Northern Ireland that stood out for me. It stands out, and when this happened, I remember you going stop, and you paused. No, you didn't pause the TV. Did we have it in video? I can't remember. But you went to the TV and you looked at, you went, I know him on the roof, I know him there, I know him there. So basically, whenever there was a massive thing in Northern Ireland where two corporals drove into an IRA funeral, Corporal Derek Woods and David Howes, and the car, the poor guys were destroyed. But you actually were, because some of the guys that assaulted that car had been in prison previously and were members of the IRA, and you were able to, I remember in our living room, you were able to go, I know who that is, 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 and all this. It wasn't.
I named them all. Yes,
you named
there
everyone.
were a lot of people in the same boat. A lot of people at work would have been able to do the same thing. But what I did think was despicable. Have we talked about this before? Because what I did think was despicable was the fact that it came out that if you knew these people, please contact your local police, right? The guy in particular was well known, very well known.
Yep.
And on the Monday morning, I'm in Belfast High Court with his two other officers. And he comes walking in, reference a claim, to get a claim sorted out. And he must have walked past 2 dozen policemen. And I thought, they're really trying them. They really are trying. And I was going to say something, and my boss says to me, Trevor, leave it. Just leave it. Because you get yourself into bother.
So a guy walked past all these officers to put a claim in, and walked past them all and went out. And he was the guy.
No, he went into court.
Yeah.
Reference a claim or something like that. But what I'm trying to say to you is, it doesn't matter what he came into court for. The fact that he walked past all these policemen at the High Court, and they were supposed to be looking for him.
I know. He was one of the instigators. This is for many years, every single tour of Northern Ireland, when troops went to train in Ripe and different places in the bottom of England to prepare for Northern Ireland, it always showed us parts of that savage murder as a warning to what could happen to British soldiers if they go in the wrong places. And I think what sat a bitter pill to swallow even today was the fact that there was a company of British troops with their kit on, ready to go in to rescue him, to rescue those two troops, and politics said, stand down.
Yeah, you're right.
No.
You know that. I know that. But politics is a dirty game. There was an Army Air Corps.
Yeah.
An Army Air Corps helicopter flying above it, filming it all, sending direct links back to Lisbon, where it's on a big screen, every little movement. And it wasn't far from Andersonstown police station. And as you know, there's a massive detachment of soldiers there. And I was told that there was a load of soldiers kitted up, ready to go out. But politics wouldn't allow it.
Politicians said no.
Yeah, politicians said no.
It's shocking.
You see, you've got to, although I'm an Englishman, you've got to live outside of England to realise how dirty politics are when it comes to this place. There's lots of things that could have been solved here, but for political reasons they weren't,
Yeah. Well, I'm sort of restricted. I'm restricted on social media. And I can say
you're going to watch what you say, or Mr. YouTube will give you another smack in the bum.
I know.
It's amazing that you're not YouTube. To stop people like you putting things across. But there's some really, really, really bad stuff on YouTube, and it still goes. I think it's because you was having a go at Meghan and Harry a lot. They got contacts with YouTube.
I've done my best with him. I've even offered him a charity boxing match, and he doesn't want to do it. But there we go. So listen, there was a time there where you and my mum were going to move back to Yorkshire. Is that still in the books? Or in fact, we chat about this because it's not in the books, because we've spoke about this many times where you would have moved back to England, but the NHS in England's absolutely shit. Whereas in Northern Ireland,
that's very true.
Fantastic.
That's very true. With your mother getting older now and having to see a lot of doctors and what have you, and having various treatments, right?
Yeah.
And over here, it's fine. Over in England, you'd be waiting God knows how long. For example, if your mother makes a phone call to the doctors at 8:30 in the morning, speak to the receptionist, they phone back before 10 o'clock in the morning. The doctor phones back. And 9 out of 10 times he says, call down, is it convenient to call down at 11 o'clock this morning or 3 o'clock this afternoon? No problem. You know, I'm the same. There's enough lot of crying about the NHS and what have you. He says, you've got to remember, though, the reason there's a big waiting list in England is because of your numbers. You know, and it can't get any better. It can only get worse because the amount of people coming in, you know?
Yeah.
And while they're on about that, have you noticed the advertisement on television for the lifeboats looking for money? I wonder why that is. It's the best taxi service in the world. You come across on a rowing boat, you see that, you jump over the side, they have to pick you up and bring you in. They've got no money for fuel, they're never out of the water. As I say, it's the best taxi service in the world. Lifeboats from Dover.
Well, there we go. So, who's the most
We have to try
prisoner?
anymore. 100 yards from shore. They jump in.
Right. Who's the most dangerous prisoner in your mind that you've had in prison?
The most dangerous prisoner?
Yeah.
Jesus, how long you got? How many you got? There's so many. There's so many of them.
You're not the only one getting older. You're getting older as well.
Oh, I know I am. Oh, you haven't been listening to us upstairs on the computer. I've just been told off. I've just been told off.
I know.
I'm not the only one getting older. You are as well. I forgot that. She's upstairs on the computer watching this.
Watching the
no, the most dangerous prisoner, there's different categories of prisoner, different things. I don't really know, son. I can't actually put, I suppose Dominic McGlinchey at one stage, when he was head of the INLA, he was dangerous, but his own side knocked him off. You know, he took over from your man Hughes. Oh, they had an hunger strike. But, most dangerous prisoner. I suppose the most dangerous prisoner is the one that's committing all these murders, hasn't been caught yet.
Yeah. Right, so...
But he never will get caught now.
There's been loads of debate over the last 40 years in Northern Ireland. There's many people that say, I was never charged with being a member of the Irish Republican Army, or I was never charged with this, never charged with that. Did you ever have in jail Martin McGuinness or Jerry Adams? Were they in jail at all, even on remand?
Well, in my time, we never had Martin McGuinness in Belfast prison. It certainly wasn't in Maghaberry. He was lifted, but he was not put into prison. He was called off bail. I went to the Londonderry Crown Court one day on Bishop Street, and I had no idea about this. We were just expecting a couple of people coming off bail. But all of a sudden they called this guy's name, Martin McGuinness, and we looked at each other, me and my mate, and he come walking in, stood outside the dock, rubbed him down. He went in the top between me and Billy, and he had his famous green polo neck sweater on and his brown black check jacket on, and what he just got a fine, and it was for coming across from Letterkenny over the south back into the north, being called into Buncrana VCP, and he parked his car outside this building, which was full of soldiers, in such a fashion, if the soldiers was needed, they couldn't come out because the car was stopping the door opening, you know, because it opened outwards rather than inwards. But up here, in front of the car, was a guy in an observation tower with his magic vengeful typewriter typing all the information in. And we called the police come and arrested him, charged him, took him away. Then he was just in front of the magistrate. for what he did. He's got a fine. But Jerry Adams, yes, he's been in coming around a couple of times, but he never speaks. He never spoke. He never give you any cheek or anything. He'd come into the search box. You'd search him. You'd strip him off, check everything off, you know, and knew every single rule there was to have. And when he was in Sea Wing, and when he went into the yard, where they're all walking around together, and now and again there'd be a meeting of all the Republicans, and they'd go to one side of the yard, and Jerry Adams, he'd go to the other side of the yard, because he knows he's being watched by human eyes and by the cameras. So you couldn't say he took the meeting. He'd probably told somebody what the meeting was about and what to discuss. But the foot soldiers all went to the meeting in the yard, and Jerry Adams went to the far side. He never got involved in anything. He never stepped out of line, never put a foot wrong. That's Jerry Adams for you. Smart cookie. Next question.
It seems that from human that either Jerry or Martin were working with MI5 for many years. Maybe that's why they were. Maybe that's why they couldn't get them. They were on the inside.
Speculation. I don't know, son. I'm not in that world.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's all that people can say. Speculation, but
speculation.
There's a guy here.
This about a lot of people, don't they? You know.
Yeah.
When they can't get to somebody, they always. It's just what I can't get my head around. The Republican leaders and all these people, they seem to get really good lawyers. You know.
Yeah. Well,
why can't the government get good lawyers to represent our soldiers?
Exactly. It seems crazy. I can mention this now because these people have passed away. But I remember many years ago working in the towers and triggering each other on to what was happening. And the white, this crazy, I know this crap, but the white Nissan Datsun sharing the Whiskey 7876 driving down towards Newry with Mark McGuinness in there. And we used to do this because, as you know, that thing you spoke about a minute ago, the Vengeful, where you type in the registration, it would tell you who owned the car and everything. Those pieces of equipment were fantastic, and we stopped McGuinness in a car with Kevin Barry Murphy, and I mean the minute you send up that registration on the net, I mean there's alarm bells going off everywhere. What are they doing here? They shouldn't be in here. It's an out of area sighting, and then everyone gets triggered. I mean, everyone used to get really, really excited when you had certain people in certain areas. It was crazy.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff done. I've been in a lot of cases. When I was part of the Belfast Crown Court, called the BCC, Belfast City Commissions, it was called. It was a Belfast Crown Court facing the jail. An awful lot of. I was shocked. I was on a lot of Supergrass trials, and some of the stuff that comes out. Say there's no, you haven't got a jury because it's a diplomat court. There's no jury. The judge is the jury. You've only got the people, the prison officers, with the guy who's in trouble, and you've got police, forensics, detectives. You know, nobody else is doing camera. And you see some of the stuff that's mentioned, I'm not going to say, some of the stuff that's mentioned in these trials is unbelievable. There's one thing I can say. There's a guy called McKettrick. He was a Supergrass. And during his interrogation, it was said, he was like working for both sides. And on the day a princess dies and Charlie's, or the king's, wedding, on part of the route that went down, they went past this building which had scaffolding all down the front of it and great big green sheets of tarpaulin. There was a bomb hidden there. And he gave the authorities the nod about it. And true enough, there was a bomb. If it had gone off, or they said nothing, you know, God knows what will be happening. But sometimes these super grasses come up with some good stuff. A lot of them go through with it, a lot of them pull out. But I've worked with them all. You know, the ones that had a lot of people brought in on remand on their say so, had these people and kept on remand for months and months and months, then decided not to go through with it. And they was done for their crimes, and they got life.
There was a guy called Scacci or something. What do you call him?
Scappaticci. Steak knife.
Steak
tin
knife.
Opener.
What was he? Was he a supergrass or something? What was he?
Tell the truth, son, I don't know a lot about. I've seen him.
Yeah.
But I've had no dealings with him. You know, last time I spoke about this to you, I says, no. It could be sub judice. It could still be going on. We did never know.
Yeah.
If you can't speak about an ongoing trial or ongoing investigation, tell the truth, Trevor, I don't know if that's over and done with.
Okay.
He was supposed to be the chief torturer for the IRA, right?
Yeah.
He was supposed to be codenamed Steak Knife or Tin Opener or Can Spanner. I don't know, but I think it's Steak Knife. And as I say, they say he's working for he was working for the police as an informer, so they say. But I'll tell you one thing. If he is, or he was, he is some operator, because everybody knew about Scappaticci, knew what he was, knew he was a torturer and an enforcer, you know. But to do that, to torture people to an extent, he extracts every little bit of info out of them, right? And at the same time, it's working for the government. That is some kind of psychopath. That's some kind of nutter.
Elaine, Chrissy has said, was he the one responsible for Robert Nairak's death?
No. Robert Nairak was a guardsman working undercover. I think everybody says it was SAS. You've got to remember, there wasn't just SAS. There was another one called
Cop.
14 Int. They was doing that kind of stuff as well. I believe he worked with them. But what he did, it was a lone wolf. He did things off his own back. He was warned not to do certain things, but he had to go one step further. And he went to this pub, and apparently he was trying too hard to put on a certain Irish accent, which made people look at him. And he was followed, and he was bundled into a car and drove away.
Never to be seen again.
Never saw him again.
I've never known anyone.
They keep coming up with different names who did it. I had the people. One was called Farrell or O'Farrell. I had him on. He was on A2 in A-Wing. With a couple of other guys, which I can't think of the names now. But they keep saying they never got anybody for this. But I'm sure that there was a trial, and the people responsible for this got life. I'm almost certain. I won't put money on it, but I'm almost certain. And it was fed to the pigs in a pig farm or somewhere over the border. But it was a lone wolf. He was warned not to do things. I mean, you give these people the name, oh, he's a hero. Yeah, he's a hero if he's doing things. But if you're going out your own way to put yourself in danger, you don't knock around them. You don't knock around in that part of the Badlands on your own and try to infiltrate real hardened territory. You stand like a sore thumb.
Well, I know that the special forces were pissed off the fact that he got labelled as one of them, and they're not that unprofessional. So they were fuming the fact that people today people today still believe. Some people still believe, oh, Robert Nierak, he was a captain in the SAS, and he was far from it. So there's people today that,
no.
and they get angry about that, about those type of things.
I think he was an officer, I think in the Scotch Guards. Couldn't swear to it, but I also believe he was some kind of 14 into something like that. But he definitely was not in the SAS. Well, people like to believe that.
I know. Yeah. His death, though, I mean, there's been loads of rumors of how he died. I'm not going to discuss it here, but I'm like, wow. And apparently he never gave anything away. Well, the truth is, he never knew anything to give away.
Then again, how would you know?
Well,
he was never seen again.
Well, I know.
If somebody got shot 3 months later, how do you know? How do you determine if the information to get this guy come from Robert Nierak or Peter Smith? You know.
Well, exactly. Yeah. Wow. Well, Dad, listen. I am going to end the chat here. We might do a third one because people are enjoying it. The questions are coming all night. I'm going to go and get a shower. I haven't even washed it since this morning. I've just travelled up and down the country and I'm in shit state. But
yeah, I know you've had a busy day, haven't you?
Yeah.
Now, your man was telling me.
Yeah. I think
you've spoken to your mother about it already. I know. You've had a very interesting and busy day, and that's how we'll leave it.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know. It may come in a podcast. I've got a podcast coming up, and
well, I would be careful.
Yes, well,
some of the places and things you saw today, you might not be able to broadcast on.
I know. Today I was asked to fly to New York City and do something there.
Yes, I believe that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll see, but there's a few things in the pipeline. I'll discuss offline with you. Listen, people. Thank you all for sticking with me and staying on the channel. Thanks for the questions. It
was my fault. We couldn't get the thing working. Well, I could see you, but we've got no sound.
I know. Well, thanks, everyone. Dad, thanks very much. I'll speak to you later. I do appreciate you coming on. Thanks, everyone, for watching. I'm going to change the thumbnail around and refix what didn't work earlier. But, yeah, it's been a great day. And I'll let you know how things go. But take care, Dad, and have a good night with Mum, all right?
I'm going to get into trouble now.
Well, it's your own fault. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, people, thanks for taking the time to tune in. I do appreciate it. It means a lot. We're going to keep going. We can't be held back. We have to keep going. But thanks for tuning in. Thanks, Russ, and everyone for helping out in the chat. It's been great. And thanks for your questions. Take care. And I'll see you tomorrow for my daily rant.